All right, I believe we're live. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Glad to do a live stream here with Mr. Boomstick XL. Thank you for joining me as well.
No problem, brother. Thank you for having me.
With this year, 2024, being a pretty big year for Xbox, there's some rumblings going on that there might be a Forza Horizon 6 in the works. Well, we know it's in the works, but we might actually see it land this year. I'm kind of hoping maybe a little bit later, but we'll definitely get into some of our wish list items and things like that, and what we would like to see, or maybe when we would like to see it. But I'd like to start off by introducing Mr. Boomstick XL, who has been a tremendous community member and person that I look up to as far as within, not just within the gaming streets, but also just everything that he does with community members, us in gaming, and everything for everything Xbox or just gaming in general. So go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, Mr. Boomstick.
Well, listen, folks. I mean, obviously, if you're following Fuzzy Belvedere, then you probably know who Mr. Boomstick is. But if you happen to, let's say, find me for the first time, check me out on obviously on YouTube, Double Barrel Gaming, and on X or Twitter, it's at Mr. Boomstick XL. We're here to talk about Forza Horizon 6. I got about 30 minutes before I got to go pick up Mrs. Boom, and then obviously race back here to have some dinner, and then be back at 7 tonight for primetime gaming. But Fuzzy, we have a lot to get into.
Oh yeah. Well, since you're here on limited time, I wanted to start with you as far as, like, I know you prefer like Forza Horizon over like Forza Motorsports,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people that have a great time with the Horizon series in general. What are some of the things you would like to see possibly in the next one, whether it be like maybe a particular location or a certain feature?
Okay, so I think it's fair to say, right? No matter who you are, the Japanese scene is a big racing scene. Now, whether you can equate that with Fast and the Furious, whether you equate that with some sort of one of your favorite racing games. Remember Tokyo, there was Tokyo Racing many years ago. I think it was like on the PlayStation 2 or 3. It's super old. I would love to see Forza Horizon go to Japan. I think the Tokyo, a racing scene obviously is incredibly prevalent even today, and it's just one of those countries that you look at what they've done in prior years, right? Obviously, it's Forza Horizon 5 being the last one in Mexico, right? Beautiful, beautiful. Lots of landscapes, biomes for. I mean, I didn't know that there was snow in Mexico. Did you, Fuzzy Belvedere? I didn't. So, it's one of those situations where if you're going to pick a place to put your next big Horizon title, it's got to be Japan, a Fuzzy.
I do apologize, Mr. Boomstick. Right now, my audio is deciding not to act up, or it's deciding to act up on my end.
Oh,
I think everybody was able to hear you, but I couldn't hear everything that you were saying. So I do apologize.
no,
I'm
that's
trying
all
to
right.
figure out if I
I'm
can
just saying that the best place
kind of
to
sort things out
the
on
best.
my end.
Yeah, the best place is probably be Japan.
Wait, let me try something here real quick. All right, say something real quick.
Do you hear me, sir? You were working fine
Yes.
before. Okay, there you
Yeah,
go.
it was something on my end. I had to switch between my mic and my speakers in the background. For some strange reason, it went static. So I do
That's weird.
apologize.
No, that's
But
quite all
go ahead
right.
and
I
continue.
mean, well, I mean, no, I was saying that the best place that they need to go, at least when you look at the world, if you take a nice pan back and you look at what place Forza Horizon could show up at, it's got to be Japan, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it's one of those countries that is just oozing with personality. It's got amazing culture. It has amazing scenery. I could just imagine racing and seeing one of the big mountains, the snowy mountains in the background, right? It's
Yeah.
just it's just I'm hoping it doesn't take us, 3 Forza Horizons to get there. And the one thing
Yeah.
that we have to say that's really great about Xbox is they do listen. I'm not the only one clamoring for them to go to Japan. I think it's obvious that's where we all want them to go next.
Oh yeah. Like Mexico was a great location for Forza Horizon 5, and I know even a lot of us were talking about possibly Japan for Forza Horizon 5 at the time.
Yep,
But I think one of the things that made it special as far as them not doing Japan right at that moment was that it gave them time to prepare for the next generation. And in doing so, now I think they have a lot more, wiggle room as far as memory and graphical fidelity. I mean, not that Forza Horizon 5 was a slouch in any means, but having it where you can have, like you said, the snowy mountains and the cherry blossoms that, the leaves fall on like the road, and you can drift through town or cut through the inner city, and the neon lights and cut around the highways and stuff like that. I think the next generation console would better deliver that whole experience. So having it where hopefully this next one winds up in Japan as opposed to the previous one, I think is probably the best move that they can make at this point.
sorry about that, brother. I just had to answer the door real quick. What were you saying?
No, I was saying, with them possible, well, a lot of us wanted to do like Japan for Forza Horizon 5, but considering the next generation, I think it's good that they actually waited to this current gen that we have now to go ahead and potentially do a location like Japan. Because, while Mexico is a great location and everything, if they did Japan for 5 instead, I don't think they would have been able to go as far as they can now, where this may just be on Series X and S at this time, as opposed to
Interesting.
kind of being like a cross gen.
I mean, I think you're onto something for sure. Japan is huge, right? Like this,
Yeah.
if you're going to go next gen, which I would imagine that the next Forza is probably going to be only, right? It's only going to be on Series X and S. You're right. Maybe waiting for the right time technically. Japan is a, like I said, it's such a massive country. Where do we go? I know one of the things that we've heard a lot of people talk about is them taking the downtown scene like super serious,
Yeah.
right? Like when you go into, just go to Google and type in downtown Tokyo and see how vibrant and how packed with culture it is. But it's
Mhm.
also a scene downtown, for like neon lights. It's neon light city. So I would imagine that you want to drive your car through there, and it's going to be set up the way Horizon is set up, which is exactly what we need. But it would be, like I said, really, really gorgeous to look at, especially if you're putting the knowledge and know-how that Playground Games knows how to do when it comes to Horizon, and you take a location like Japan. Oh my, I can only imagine how it would look.
Yeah, it would provide a perfect photo backdrop, because there's a lot of us that like to take the still photos and things like that as far as
Yep.
at certain locations, and then just driving or having like a street layout in downtown Tokyo and stuff like that. That would be, something to definitely have fun with. And the highway scene for me, and it's one of the things I kind of want to see them kind of lean more into, is like the night racing or street racing. Considering the lore within Tokyo, there was the actual Midnight Club, not Midnight Club, the Rockstar game, but there was like a midnight racing club that used to street race. And it was kind of like some of the executives of some of the bigger businesses down there would take these, souped up, Porsches and Lamborghinis and Nissans and stuff like that. And just basically have it where they can race against other, teams or groups and things like that. And there's so much that they can kind of borrow from that in that location. But another thing I want to ask you about beyond the location, Forza has always been kind of like a festival racing game. And now that Ubisoft has kind of copied that formula with Motorfest or the
Yeah,
Crew
they did.
Motorfest. Let me do a quick change here because the audio, my audio keeps acting up. But with the Crew kind of copying that, what are some of the other things you may want to see them expand on? Whether it's like the character or the avatar that you use, or like possibly even some of the events and things like that. What other things would you like to see kind of thrown into the mix for a next Forza Horizon?
Interesting you say that. When I reviewed Forza Horizon 5, I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. So, and one of the criticisms that knocked off half a point was the character creation. It is very basic.
Mhm.
Basic to a point where it's almost insulting. Like, I don't want to be the regular white guy. You know what? I just don't. Like, you know, there's a lot of personality for me as a person, and I want to be able to put that personality into my avatar. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's the
Yeah.
same guy, same character that I had in 4 and probably 3, right? Like
Yeah.
it's I mean, I get it. You can do different emotes. I get all of that. You can dress them. I'm dressed right now as a spaceman. So you wouldn't even know what I was. But if there was one point of improvement that I'm hoping comes the way of Forza Horizon 6, it's I want to make my avatar as close to what I am as a gamer. I want
Mhm.
that gamer to look like I look in real life there.
Yeah.
And I think that one of that to me is the thing that jumps off the page right away, because everything is very basic. It's very, pick an archetype.
Yeah.
Why? If you can design your car and you can do all of these, I mean, think about that for a second, Fuzzy. You can, if you have the skills, and I do not. I do not have the skills, folks, or the patience for that matter. Some of the designs that I've seen that I've bought, I feel like, what? Your favorite character on a car, and
Mhm.
that character car is represented to a T in the game. Even though you're not walking around as your avatar, it's not an RPG, but
Right.
your character, your avatar, is up on stage, right? At the end of every race, they're waving. I just think that it would be, at least for me, really cool to make a character like you spend the time making your car. I don't know if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, it definitely does. And considering they have like the avatars within the Xbox ecosystem itself, possibly transitioning to using those as your actual avatar in game might be a nice change because they haven't really put those to use outside of just replacing the old avatars. But one thing, me being a little bit of a gray beard here, I would like to see some facial hair at least as an option for the upcoming characters. Like they have it where they're all clean shaven, which is good, but and they do offer a variety of different hairstyles. Although there's tons more they can add. Yes, I know it's a racing game. That's not the focus as far as the driver behind the wheel, but considering how many fun things there are to do in that, and that the emphasis is on like the showmanship after you win the race and your avatar doing emotes and things like that. And they've even integrated emotes into like the photography. Like you can take pictures now of your avatar outside the car doing those same emotes and things. I kind of want them to, like you said, do a little bit more in shaping your avatar to kind of represent you, whether it's different hair types, different height and sizes, different clothing types. I mean, they do offer a wide variety of clothing types. I do applaud them on the like the hearing aids and the limbs and things like that they've added to the game. That's awesome. But I also want to see them do maybe expand on a few other things, whether it's different body types, different heights and things like that. Like when my wife tries to create a character, they don't really have that same body shape or height because she's only like 5 foot. So she's like, why do I look like I'm like as tall as you type of thing when I'm, if she wins the podium compared to me or something like that. So it'd be just nice if they could change a few things up, have it where they dial it up a little bit more. I mean, considering they're probably going to have a character creator in Fable, maybe borrow some of those things and put that into the next Horizon.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, it's small. It's a small ask. I don't know what the team would find it worthy of taking the time to fix it or
Mhm.
to advance it. But I mean, everything else about Horizon, especially if we were, specifically talking about Horizon 5, is literally perfect. It's probably one of the best racing games easily in the past decade. Like
Yeah.
the last game that I could recall that I had as much fun with was Need for Speed Most Wanted 1,
Mhm.
which was a launch title on the Xbox 360. That game is still brilliant, and I think they're remaking the original, which I will buy, not even a question. And before that would be like Burnout 3, would be like the
Mhm.
closest of and you know what? To be fair, MotorStorm on the PlayStation
Yeah.
3, one of my favorite racers of all time, certainly of all of my PlayStation racers outside of like a few, MotorStorm was one of my favorites. So though I would again having fun in a racer, I can't say that I've had, at least in the last decade, as much fun and as much time sunk into Forza Horizon 5, which I gave a 9.5 out of 10. Clearly, it's worth it.
Oh yeah.
The half point was, and I actually got flamed for this. Like a lot of people were like, I can't believe how dare you, the character creation. Who cares? I obviously care to bring it up in my review. Maybe you don't care, but
Yeah.
you just said your wife cares.
Yeah.
You know,
No, it's something that I hope that they look into. I mean, it doesn't have to be a primary focus, but
yes.
the over the years they've definitely improved the character creator or certain things, whether it be some of the clothing items or some of the ability or mobility type of items that they've added to it. But there's always so much more that they can do, and just seeing them push that envelope a little bit more is what I'm all about. Another thing that I definitely would like to see them offer as a mode or an option, and you kind of mentioned it with like the Need for Speed aspect. Although keep calm, people. I don't want to turn Forza Horizon into a Need for Speed, but hot pursuit, police chases, and I've made mention of things like this on some of the Forza or forums and things, and they were like, "It's not a Need for Speed game," and it doesn't have to be. But I recall probably some of the most funny events, and I wish I had recorded the video because those would be probably like trending TikToks at this point. Me and a couple of my buddies would set up our Ford Crown Vic, and I think he had like one of the Volvos with the police lights on it, and we would set off like right or set aside on like this was Forza Horizon 4, and there was like the tunnel, and we would be on like either side of it, and a lot of times people would race on the highway and things like that, and sometimes they'd go flying by and then we'd turn the siren on, chase them. And it's like you could tell it surprised the crap out of them to the point where some of them would wind up swerving off the road like they were not expecting to hear sirens as they came out of the tunnel. And then some of them would actually try to like do like an outrun type of thing. And I set up my Crown Vic where it had like the rally tire, so whether it's paved or unpaved, I could still track them down. But it was just like a fun like cat and mouse type of thing, and it doesn't have to be all serious where you're getting a speeding ticket or anything like that. But I think just the cat and mouse aspect of somebody trying to outrun somebody, and let's say if they created like a reward system where you outrun the pursuer, you get a higher payout, or it might unlock like a even more special car. If the pursuer gets you, they would get a duplicate of your car, not necessarily take your car away from you, but if you have like a Lamborghini and they wanted to get that particular car, and they tune their pursuit car to kind of keep up with it, if they're able to stay with you for at least 15 seconds, then they get a duplicate of that car. So there would be, like, without it being like a troll, well, not really a trolling type of thing, but something where you can grieve other players. Having that kind of option, I think, would be kind of cool. What do you think about adding something like a pursuit system
I
into
mean,
Forza?
it's I like the idea, but I don't necessarily know if it fits what Horizon is. Because right, see, like what you're implying is to have like a multiplayer aspect where if you're just kind of just in the world and you have your game open to multiplayer and you're flying, trying to get to a jump and you're doing like 300 miles an hour, you could get pulled over or something, or you could get chased by another. I think that's cool. I do like the idea, but
Mhm.
because Horizon is known for hit the go as fast as you can, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Hold on just one sec.
Yeah. No, I think as long as it's like an optional thing, it'd probably be okay. Or make it where, it's like an opt-in as opposed to an opt-out situation where it's not on by default. I think you'd have, some players kind of take a look at it and, give it a try type of thing. Let me make a quick adjustment on volume here real quick. No, but me as a longtime Forza Horizon player, the variety of things that they have in the game now, adding a few more things, I don't think would, hurt the formula in any way. But Pursuit is just one of those things I would like them to try. It doesn't have to be like the forefront where it's like, oh, before you can even, open your first festival, you have to outrun. No, you don't have to outrun the cops or anything like that. But to have it where maybe at like nighttime where they do like the street races, and currently like in Forza Horizon 5, you can do a street race at night and have it where um, you get a reward base at the end of the race, and you're racing against other quote unquote street racers and stuff. Maybe at the end of it, kind of like Need for Speed Unbound, you have to outrun the troops, or troop state trooper
Look,
cars or
I'll put it
something.
to this way. I think having a mode in the game that allows you to have these police chases wouldn't be a bad thing, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a mode, but I think when you look at what Horizon as a series is, it's meant to trick out your cars as best as you can,
Hmm.
to go as fast as you can, to win as many races as you can. I
Yeah.
think that if there's a mode there, it's an interesting theory. I don't know how that actually works. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it would be better off as, like, let's say, an additive, like, like, okay, so they have their seasons, right? Which is something that arrived in 4. Um, and you have like DLCs that come along. Like
Hmm.
for instance, you had your Hot Wheels DLC, 2 times. You had the Snowy Mountain one, which was awesome, right?
Yeah.
What about having a mode where it is you trying to outrun the cops, or
Yeah.
or a mode where it gives you a chance to be a police officer chasing after. See, that wouldn't be such a bad idea. I don't know if it works incorporating it into the main game of
Yeah.
Forza Horizon.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
But listen,
Yeah.
Fuzzy, again, I'm so sorry, brother. I gotta get out of here. It's almost 3:30.
I
Thank you
understand.
so much, folks. Listen, please sub this man immediately. Let's get him to at least 500 subs so we can work on getting him to 1,000. Fuzzy, I appreciate you sending me the invite to join you. I hope I gave you a take that made sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. Greatly appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much for taking your time, and look forward to seeing you again on Friday for Breakfast with
Yes.
Boom, 10 a.m.
Yes, brother. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. I'll see you later.
All right, you too. Later. All right, guys. I'm going to talk about a couple more things that I'd like to see, possibly added into the mix as far as Forza is concerned. But at least for Horizon 6, if they're able to land like the Japan location, a couple of things I would like to see them do is expand also on like the player house, which once again I know it's not a racing thing, but much like we see in motorsport now, where you have a couple of cars you can highlight in like your garage. I would like to see them have like the player house have it where you can have some of your favorite cars maybe parked out front of the house, or have them on display. Maybe inside the house, some of your accolades and rewards, or trophies that you won displayed in places. Once again, doesn't have to be a major focus, but it would be like a nice add-on type of thing. But one area I do want to see them improve on is, like, in the past they've done the clubs, which the player club system that they have now doesn't really seem to be utilized in a reasonable way, where it's like you sign up for a club and that's about it. Doesn't really have like club events. You don't really have like a club logo. Like, let's say you have a painter or an artist in the group and you want to come up with a cool logo for the club. It should be one of those things where you could share it amongst those in the club, but not have it accessible to like the general, player base or something like that. Or have it where you can put that same logo not just on your cars, but on some of your clothing items or something. I know those may seem like trivial or silly things to some, but I think some of that would be a nice change for clubs. The other thing is I would like to see not just like a rivals thing, but more of like a club head to head type of deal where, let's say, it's the East Coast Xbox Racing Group versus the West Coast Xbox Racing Group, or whatever you would name your prospective Horizon club. Have it where you can have head to head night, race on the highway system that they have, or have it where there's a drag strip somewhere, or some of the circuits, or some of the route custom made routes that people have made, where both teams can try their best to outdo each other. Maybe have it where team one, if you have at least one or two cars in the top three, then that would give you more points to get the win for that team, and then in turn unlock rewards for the entire team, whether it's more cars, more in-game currency, or whatever the case may be. Using the teams that they, or the clubs that they have now, in a more useful way, I think would at least keep some people more invested for longer, because hey, it's club night, we're going to have a car show, and after the car show we go race on the highway, and it's like for pink slips, or something to that effect. And I think that would be a cool thing to kind of mix into what they have going on now. Not to do away with any of the Horizon or festival aspect of the game, but just more things that they could, that they kind of have in the game currently that they can expand on. Another thing I would like to see them do, and I've probably mentioned street racing quite a bit at this point, but rolling starts and things like that. Like, they already have it where if you just come across like another player, or if you're racing offline and you come across another driver tar, you can challenge them to like a head-to-head race. Have it where you can have more of the mode where, not to mimic actual street racing in real life, but where you can do the rolling starts and it's like you beep the horns and you go at it for a certain amount of feet or something like that, or not to encourage reckless driving, but some of the set of course of customization that they have now, it's more of like having like a little bit of traffic and seeing who can weave through that traffic the best without contacting any of the other cars and things like that. Having something like that mixed in would be kind of cool, at least in my opinion. But I think one of the final thoughts I want to discuss with you guys, as far as things I would like to see them do, um, is not just with the Japan location, but pretty much with any location that they have, is go for like a bigger map overall. Like Forza Horizon, 1 through now 5, all of them have been, progressively gotten larger maps, larger zones, more highways, more varied areas, whether it's desert or mountains and things like that. I'd like to see them go even bigger if they can. I know there are certain limitations, when it comes to having a server that's going to have 60 plus people on it at a given time or more. Um, but having a larger map where you can get it instead of it taking only like 5 minutes to get from one end to the other, it might be a 15-minute drive in real life to get from one end of the map to the other. Um, just because there are times where I've seen in Forza Horizon 4 and 5 where certain groups that want to do the drifting, you'll only find them at the mountain area. And it's like after that, there's no other real area that has like a good drifting zone or switchbacks. Have it where it's a little bit bigger map. Maybe you have a second mountain or something along those lines that you can race from point to point type of deal along with the drifting to expand on what a lot of people like to do in their free time in Forza. The highways, we always seem to get one main highway that's like one straight line. And just looking back at games like Grand Theft Auto 5, where it's like you have about three major highways that intersect at a point type of thing, where if you wanted to do like traditional street racing, you could, and you have plenty of space to go with, as opposed to being like just racing from one end of the map to the other. You can have one that cuts across diagonally or one that goes from north to south, and as well as the one that normally goes from east to west type of deal. um, but like a larger map in general, I think at this point, considering we are on next gen hardware, hopefully they can push the boundaries as much as they can. But I guess just as an insight, the thing that's got me wanting to talk about Forza Horizon 6 more is that, given that they used to be pretty consistent with like every 2 years, without a doubt, they'll have a game ready. It seems like they're moving more now towards like games as a service where it's geared to last a lot longer, where they continue to support it with updates, continue to support it with new car drops, DLC or expansion map locations and things like that. And instead of having it where maybe some of the DLC sections off the map where it limits some of the players that maybe didn't purchase the DLC from being able to go to certain areas. I think the DLC, or have they been doing like the car packs and things like that, is fine, but go with a bigger map. It may not be as much of a drawback to maybe say the person that doesn't want to do the expansion stuff. They'll still have a wide variety of stuff that they can play in, as well as now, considering that they do allow the games to live on longer with support consistently, having that larger map, you could have a drifting, you know, event in one section of the map while you have like like a not CrossFit, but like the motocross type of racing at another part of the map, or you can have drag racing at another part of the map, all at the same time, and let people kind of bounce around as they see fit. But pretty excited for the potential of a Forza Horizon 6 coming maybe this year. In all honesty, I'm fine if they want to wait until 2026. I mean, whether it's a numbers game or not, Forza Horizon 6 and 26, I'm more in tune with that. But considering there is some buzz, you'll see some creators talking about Horizon 6 now and potentially being, released later this year. If they're going to release it, let's see if they can do some, maybe some different things, or add some other things to the festival flavor that they've been doing, you know, ever since the original one, and kind of expand on that franchise a good bit. I mean, considering you got 35 million players playing it, the more the merrier, and more content, the more variety. You'll continue to have more players for it. But thanks again for everybody that's joined me for this. Sorry, I haven't been able to follow through with the chat as much. Having some of the audio difficulty where things come in a bit scratchy and stuff like that. I'm still kind of working out some of the kinks as far as these streams and stuff. But thank you guys so much. Be on the lookout for more of these in the future, whether it's based on Forza Motorsport, or Forza Horizon 6, or even test drive test drive Unlimited Solar Crown, which hopefully we get some more info as far as I think it's geared for like a February release. So hopefully we'll see some of that here soon. But thanks again so much, everyone. Greatly appreciate the support. And again, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And then if you want to hear more of my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter as at fuzzy_Belvedere. I'll always put like any notifications for streams and things I do and other podcasts that I appear on. But thanks again so much for joining me. And as always, have an awesome 2024 and keep your ear to the grindstone as far as for Xbox news for the future. Thanks again. Take care.